that on? I think so. Are we live? I hope so. If I am on there, it says one person's viewing. I've got my iPad as well just to see any questions that might pop up from you guys. You can give me a thumbs up if you can see me. I'm not too sure whether I'm upside down at the moment, but hopefully I'm not. It says Bianca is watching. Hello Bianca. Let me just see. Am I upside down? Can anybody tell me if I'm upside down on here? Oh, yes I am. Ha! Right. Hopefully I can... No, that's going to be a bit disorientating. Yes, you're upside down. It's clever, isn't it? Only I could do something like that. If anyone was going to make themselves upside down on camera, I'm not even sure. Right, let me set it up again. Oh dear. Right, hopefully. Am I the right way up now? I hope so. I can see it myself on here now. I wonder how I managed to do that. The day I'm having it kind of suits me being a little bit upside down, to be honest. But hopefully I'm the right way up now. That's better. Yeah, thanks Steph. Hi Janice, how are you? Just a quick sound check while everybody else is coming in. Can everybody hear me? Does everything seem to be loud and clear? Give me a thumbs up. You're back the right way. Hello, it's good. It's like being in Australia for a little holiday. It's been quite windy out there today, so I'm looking a bit dishevelled. Just trying to sort this so you can see more of me, so everybody can actually hear me. That's good. Good. That's what we like. Right, so today I'm going to talk about mantrailing, and hopefully if we have enough time then I'll cover some of the scent work as well. But mantrailing is my absolute passion, I do have to say, and hopefully some of yours as well. So, right. First of all, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to Ruby for inviting me onto this and for organising the whole thing as well. I mean, it's epic what she's done. So many people there chatting about all sorts. It's a real privilege. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Suzanne, Suzanne Broughton, and I own and run a behaviourist and training company called Doghampton. I think that's probably backwards, but at least it's not upside down. That's based in Northamptonshire. We train quite a lot of things, but we mostly specialise in mantrailing and scent work, to the point that I've actually got my husband involved in it now, and he's done the instructor's course, and so has a friend of mine who actually joins in and helps as well. So there's actively 3 of us teaching mantrailing now. I've been kind of in training dogs on and off since about 1980, but just never did it for money. I went off and had a career doing something else, and then a few years ago I retired and decided to set my own business up. Started studying canine behaviour, came across olfaction and how it affects the dogs, and it just changed my world and how I interacted with dogs and understood the dogs, and just gave me such a different view on everything. I was just hooked, line and sinker. And then I started to go on with mantrailing, really. So let me just say, I have got a few notes and my phone. Too much going upside down. So has anybody got any questions before we kick off? Can everybody actually hear me? Is the main thing, so I'm worried about. Everybody hear me? Good. Such a delay. But never mind. Right, hopefully that won't bounce around too much. So, what is mantrailing is the question I get a lot. So, it's not to be confused with mantraining, because I'm not very good at that at all. I've only got to ask my husband that. Been trying to train him for years. It doesn't work. He's giving me evils from over there now. I can see him. So, mantrailing is teaching your dog to find a specific person using their scent. So if you think to search and rescue, what those dogs can do. Thanks Jasmine, nice to know everyone can hear me. If you think to what the search and rescue dogs do, it's fantastic. We've all seen them on telly, haven't they? And they're absolutely amazing. So we take that and we train it, but we train it for pet dogs, for fun only. It's only a sport. We're not operational. We don't confess to doing anything operational at all. If you are interested in doing anything or going down the professional lines, it's a very, very different route, and I can get you in touch with people that do that, but it's completely different to what we do. We do pet dog sport, so it's like hide and seek, but a lot better. So as human beings, we all have a unique smell. We all have a unique smell. Some of us more than others. We're made up of about 1.6 trillion skin cells. Each of these skin cells has a life cycle of roughly a month. So they drop off us all the time, just dropping away. About 30,000 an hour we shed. That's about 4 kilos of rafts, as they call them, so skin, little flecks of skin that fall off us. So that's what's around your house all the time. All that dust that you think is just dust is not, it's actually dead skin. It's nasty. So each of these, they're actually not dried little flakes, they're living bits of bacteria. So they're full of bacteria, hormones, and all sorts. Oh, hello Verity. Verity's here. Not sure whether you caught that, Verity. We were just talking about the disgusting amount of skin that falls off us. So each of these little bits of skin fall to the floor, they drift off us. They don't, as human beings, we think a dog will track in a straight line because we assume that our scent just hits the floor and stays there. But these little pieces of skin are so light, they're like tiny little feathers, and they drift around and they move all over the place. And it's that we're tracking, that the dogs are picking up on. So they billow all over the floor. Now, if you've got a dog that likes to sniff, you'll have already seen your dogs trailing or tracking all the time. They've got the nose to the floor and they're sniffing along, trying to see what's going on. It's a dog's natural ability. We're not teaching your dogs anything new. All we do is take that and we harness that into a game where we can join in with our dogs, and it helps us understand our dogs better. Hi, Trisha. So, Trisha already does mantrailing with me, so she'll have heard me spout on about all that loads of times. What I do love about mantrailing, there's 2 massive things that I do love. One, it's a low impact sport. So with the likes of agility or a lot of other stuff, you can't do that with your dog until they're over a certain age, and they get to a certain age and you have to retire them because of the impact. They just can't do it anymore. With mantrailing, that's not true. They can do it right from the start when they're young dogs, right from puppies. We've actually got a few puppies that do it, right the way up to however old they are. It doesn't really matter. We've got a few dogs that have come across that have retired from the agility world and field trials, but they're still active enough and still, their brains are still there. They still want something to do. They're just not up for jumping around and running around that much. So mantrailing is great for them. It's a mental exercise, not just a physical one. So all the dogs are worked singular, one at a time. They're all on leads and harnesses. So we have special harnesses. As long as it's a Y-shaped harness and not one that comes across and restricts the shoulder movement, it's fine. But because they're worked on a long line, so we can control, it means you have complete control over the dog at all times. So those dogs that are a little naughty and maybe haven't got the recall or aren't controlled enough or behave enough in certain areas while you're out, they can still take part in this because you have control. You've got them online all the time, so wherever we're working. And it's also ideal for nervous, insecure dogs, or what people term as reactive dogs. It's not a title I like, to be honest, the reactive, because what does that mean? All dogs are reactive to something at some time in their life. It's a blanket expression, isn't it? But if you've got a dog that struggles out in public or with other dogs or with people, it's an amazing sport for them, and I can't stress this enough. I know there's a lot of other groups, sports, where they will try and take in reactive dogs, and they do help, and it does work, but this you really can. They're worked one at a time. I know what it's like for some of these owners. They're distressed, they're almost embarrassed sometimes when they go to places and they've got a reactive dog and they can't take part, or they try and take part and they're in a field, everybody else is over this side, and they have to stand over there with their little yellow collar on saying, please don't come near me because my dog doesn't either like you or your dogs. It's not nice, and you miss out on that whole bonding, being a part of a group, and all the things that the rest of us love with our dogs. They really can do mantrailing, I promise you. We have a whole group, in fact a few of them are on here now who have got reactive dogs. It does wonders for the dogs, it really does. I use, as a behaviourist, like I've said, I use mantrailing as part of a modification plan for some of my dogs. It builds the confidence, it creates positive experiences in environments where the dogs necessarily wouldn't be confident normally. A little bit more on that later on, before I just get carried away and waffle on about that for ages. So just do a quick sound check again, make sure everybody can hear me. Give me a thumbs up while I just have a quick drink because I talk for England. Yeah, Verity said consent is the only place and sport I felt like I can join in with my reactive dog. I have a reactive dog too. My rescue loves it. Exactly. It really, really is. I can't stress that enough. We'll go into that a little bit later on. So I just wanted to go through a little bit of history from it. So can everyone still hear me? I'm just paranoid because I know I did one of these the other day and the sound kept and the video kept popping in and out. So yep, getting a few thumbs up. Peachy, that's what we like. So a little bit of history around mantrailing. So I'm sure, like me, you all remember those St Bernards with the barrels of brandy. Was it brandy? I'm not sure why they carry brandy if you're lost anywhere, but plummeting around finding people. There's lots of adverts and stuff like that about them. That is actually a little bit true. That's where mantrailing came from. It was in the 17th century. There were Swiss monks in a monastery in the summit of the Great St Bernard's Pass. Great St Bernard Pass. That's where the St Bernard thing comes from. They actually trained the dogs to find lost monks that were walking up and down in the snow so they didn't die. Once that became known to everybody, they were actually called on, the monks and their dogs, to actually find lost travellers that might be trapped in the snow, and also when there was avalanches and things like that, which is pretty fantastic when you were just setting them up just to make sure the monks got back safely. In the 18th century, dogs in America were specially trained to track down criminals, and again, I'm sure we all remember the films where there's a bloke running for his life in black and white stripy clothes, running through, and all the dogs are baying after him and trying to catch him. That's all mantrailing. One of the most famous ones over in America in 1899 was a mantrailing bloodhound, because they are fantastic, called Nick Carter. Strange name for a dog, I believe it's named after a book. He was handled by somebody called Captain Mulligan. In his lifetime, he was credited with over 650 finds of people that he was searching out for. In 1903 alone, he was responsible for finding 126 people that were sent to jail. One of the trails being over 55 miles. That's just amazing. I mean, manage your expectations. If you've got a normal little dog, 55 miles is not going to be a man trail track that you're going to do with us. We do try and keep them quite a bit shorter than that, but it's just amazing that a dog could actually keep trailing for that long. In the First World War, the Red Cross used them to locate personnel that were lost in the battlefield. That's more air trailing, but it's still the same talent. So the dog will pick up a plume that's coming and work its way to it. But again, it's still amazing. London Blitz over here, they were used to search for dogs in the rubble. It was about at that point we began to appreciate how we could use dogs for search and rescue, and how valuable that they would be, especially back in the 1940s when we just didn't have the technology that we've got now. So in America, it was around the 1940s that they began to train dogs to detect mines in Germany, German mines in North Africa. So that was the birth of the first kind of detection dog. 1971, United States, they were trained to Pick up illegal substances and explosives, so marijuana, cocaine and that kind of stuff. By the 20th century, it was adopted for search and rescue teams all around the world. Do have to say, it's not officially recognised by law in the UK yet. It is in many other places, but not in England. Don't know why. There's been some strange studies that have kind of not been the best. So it's shown the dogs haven't been as accurate as they want them to be in a court of law. So it's just, they're not recognised yet. But there's lots of private companies that use them, and all the search and rescue guys do. And they do a fantastic job. Hats off to them. So more recently, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be here, is we've got the potential recognised as a pet sport. So not just search and rescue, but it's actually been officially recognised as a sport, and it's rapidly growing in popularity through the UK and through the world. I see loads of them now, all over the world. So how do we teach it? Just do a quick sound check again. Everything peachy? Everyone can hear me? There doesn't seem to be any questions so far. If you do have a question, just punch it on there, and hopefully I'll be able to see it on this one and answer you as we go along. Hoping somebody's got some questions, otherwise I might not have enough time. I've got loads of insperity. So, how do we teach mantrailing? So, I am a mantrailing instructor and assessor for Mantrailing UK. There are other groups out there which I don't know a lot about, so it's up to you to go and see them if you want. But I love some microphone noise. Oh, sorry. Right, okay. Let me try and move it a bit, see if it might be vibrating on something. Hopefully that's a bit better. Hope. Right, so where was I? Mantrailing UK. So Mantrailing UK, we teach the kosher method. Kevin Kosher was a deputy sheriff over in America, obviously, who handled bloodhounds for over 20 years. He retired in 2008 with multiple sclerosis and has since passed away, I believe. But this guy was a legend. His vast experience of training dogs and handlers. He wrote a manual for them called How to Train Your Bloodhound. When he wrote it, this was aimed at law enforcement and SARS, so search and rescue handlers over there. But it has since been adopted almost like a Bible for the sports now. It's that popular that it has been printed in so many different languages, and it's now all over the world. It's absolutely immense, and I think there's a waiting list to actually get the book if you want to have a look at it. It is fantastic if you do want to look. A little bit dated, but still immense. It's said to have actually changed operational mantrailing forever. There were still inadequate old school techniques being used, and kosher was the first method. Oh, right, okay, somebody said it's when I knock the desk. I'll take my hand. I can't talk without moving my hands, sorry. I'll try and sit still. So, what was I saying? So it was the first method that used positive reward only. So before that, it was a little bit old school with a lot of old school techniques, especially in America. But kosher actually promoted positive reward, and the training just took off, and the dogs were so much better. And like I said, it's been printed all over the world now. So hopefully that's a little bit better now. Only when I touch the camera or not the desk. I know, sorry. So where did I get to? Printed all over the world. So the kosher method is the only mantrailing method that uses intensity trails. So an intensity trail is one that's very short and a very easy one with a high amount of reward at the end. So all the way through your mantrailing journey with anyone that does it for Mantrailing UK, you'll do one trail, and at the end you'll do a really short intensity trail. Now, the guys that do the kosher method are the only ones that do this, and it really does help the dogs, because even search and rescue dogs, occasionally their handlers will throw in a really quick, easy trail to keep the dogs motivated. So it also stresses about the importance of firm foundations, but any good trainer will talk about that till the cows come home, won't they? Without the proper little steps and firm foundations, your progression is going to collapse somewhere along the point. But kosher pushes that even more than a lot. So what would you expect? So if you sign up to do Mantrailing, you will have an introduction which will go through the in-depth explanation of what it is. We will demonstrate with dogs what to look out for. We'll talk through how it all works. Let me just take a drink. I've got a really dry mouth again. I hope you all brought a cup of tea with you. So we'll go through a little bit of a presentation where we'll talk about what Mantrailing is, how it works, what you're expected to learn, what your dog's expected to learn. We talk about all sorts of different bits of that, and then we'll take you out and you'll get to see a dog actually trail, and then you'll get to have a go yourself. So you need to find, we'll talk a lot as well about rewards and motivation. So it's important that you find the right motivation for your dog. Motivation isn't always food. In fact, some dogs much prefer a game at the end. So there's lots of things we can do as a reward for the end, because the end is quite solid. It's sat in front of somebody when they find them, so it's quite easy to play a game with a flirt pole or anything else that your dog really likes. So what we'll do is we'll get a scent article. So when we first start off, this scent article will be something quite big and easy to soak up the scent. So something like a hat or a t-shirt or clothes or something like that. And we'll teach the dog to sniff. So we'll just give a cue, teach the dog to sniff, to take that scent of that person off that article, and then go and find them. We progress from that to delayed starts and then just scent article starts. So a scent article start would be the dog will just come in and not see where that person goes, because to start off with, we really need to ensure that the dog understands that the game is he has to go and find that person. So for the first few goes of your dog, they'll actually see the missing person, misfits we call them, the person that they're going to go and find. They'll actually see them run off, so they'll be keen to go and find them, because we need to make sure that the dog understands the game, otherwise they're not going to progress. But once they do, we can work through until we're just at a scent article. So your dog will just come in, you'll get ready, you'll do a little starting ritual, there'll be an article on the floor, you'll tell your dog to sniff, and then you'll wait for your dog to go off. These can progress up to having a key on the floor that the dog has to take the scent from having a car seat, from a pen, to something that that person's touched. So we might just get that person just to hold on to a lamppost and then get the dog to sniff, take that scent off the lamppost and go. We really, really can. It's fantastic. The trails increase in environments, so we'll go through different gravel, grass. We also go urban with some of the dogs when they're ready for it. Obviously, we start off in easier areas, so grass and quiet areas, but we can progress up. We increase the length of the trails, obviously, and the age of the trails, because the age of the trail makes a difference as well. And different surfaces, like I've just said. Just before lockdown, we were actually doing some in a retail park. We were trailing through a retail park, and one of the people that had to be found was sat in one of the cafes there. So one of the dogs had to come all the way through and in, and I think it was Trisha's dog did her first environmental one there, actually came through the car park, past a little kid on a bike and a pushchair and other people, which are all things that her dog previously would have barked and lunged at. Totally ignored them, straight the way through, found the person. Absolutely amazing. I think we were all nearly in tears. Yeah, that's it. The only time she's actually ignored people. It's fantastic. It was such a moment. But it's those little moments we all live for, just to get that little piece of like, woo, we're going to do this. So it's not just about teaching your dog either. The unique thing with this is we teach you how to understand your dog a little bit better. So subtle little changes in body language to be able to read whether the dog is actually trailing, whether it's still sniffing human or whether it's sniffing animal scent on the side, so the subtle changes in their face. We teach you as well how wind and cold affects the trail, so you can expect When you get to a certain situation, you would expect your dog to either work from the right to the left or maybe have his head higher up. We teach you all of that so you can assist your dog without interfering, if you know what I mean. But it makes for a really good bond between the two of you. Love it. It's fantastic. So, as I said a minute ago, every trail we do will finish with an intensity trail. So we'll do one long, and then at the end of it we'll do a really short one, just to keep that dog really on the game, so it wants to charge off, find that person and go a bit more. So in Mantrailing UK there's levels you can work through as well, and we're just in the process, I believe, of adding other little levels in between, so little steps for you to kind of get little benchmarks, because it is quite a lot to get up to your level 1. You have to do a trail that's 200 to 400 meters long with one change of direction, so a 90-degree turn. The trail's got to be about 30 minutes to an hour long, one person to find, and grass fields, something like that. So it's not overly taxing, but it's still quite a lot for a dog to take in, and you need to have done about 20 trails before you can actually book in to do your level 1. So there are a few level 1 assessors all up and down the UK. I am the one for the Midlands, so we're Northamptonshire, but we train just in Warwickshire and down in Silverstone as well, so we kind of cover quite a big patch between the three of us. But yeah, we can do the whole thing, which is great. My dog is just about to do her level 3 soon, so fingers crossed for that. And my new rescue dog, who I haven't had that long, hopefully will be ready to do his level 1 in the summer. But he's been so nervous, he wouldn't even come anywhere near us in the first few weeks, few days. But yeah, training's been really good for him. Seeing his confidence grow has been amazing, and it is great fun. Seriously, I know I keep saying that, but it really is. Right, so let me have a drink, because we're going to get a little bit geeky now. Sorry, for those of you that know me, you know I'm a little bit geeky. How do the dogs process all of this? It's absolutely fascinating. So dogs are macrosmatic beings, which means they have a far greater level of olfactory function than we. But one question, practical tips on how to start. I am on my own. Right, okay, we'll go through a bit of that in a minute at the end, but I'll just cover, don't let me forget that. We'll just cover how they actually work it all out. So dogs are macrosmatic beings, which means their worlds are around olfaction and smell, not sight. It's their dog's world. Our world is all about sight. We talk about sight, our language. I'll see you later. Take a look at this. Dogs, it's all olfaction, it's all scent. As human beings, we have between 5 and 6 million scent receptors, which sounds an awful lot, doesn't it? But when you compare that to a dog who's got between 200 to 300 million, it's nothing. That's like, you'll come home from work, you'll go, oh, that's a pizza in the oven, lovely. What your dog will be able to do is to smell every single component that's in that pizza. And I'm not exaggerating, that's how good their noses are. Absolutely fantastic. Their noses are actually specially designed, not like ours. Ours aren't very efficient really at all. When a dog breathes in scent, it's inhaled into 2 separate chambers. One chamber, it goes to the lungs so they can breathe like us. 13% of it goes specially to the olfaction area, just for them to work out scent. Your dog's nose contains a bone that it's really thin bone, but it's like a maze of little corridors called turbinates. These turbinates are covered in membrane called epithelium. So these actually give such a massive, large area for the air to go over, which is how they take all the scent out. So the anterior part of these bones are called maxilla turbinates. They're lined with respiratory epithelium, and that's the bit that produces the mucus. So I think my husband's just sneaking off to make a cup of tea, I hope. It's either that or I've just bored him with the sciencey bit. So this epithelium has like hair-like little projections stuck out of it. These are called cilia, which I'm sure a few of the guys that trail with me have heard me talk about them before. These little hairs are responsible for catching the molecules, and they stick to them. And once they recognise them, they send a little nerve signal relay to the olfactory lobe where the odour is interpreted. So that lobe is about 1/8 of the dog's brain. That's how massive olfaction is to the dog. When the dog exhales through his nose, it exhales out of the side of the nose, so it doesn't push any of those scent molecules out of the way. So it's capable of bringing in new scent at the same time as sending out old scent. And it'll actually store it for recognising it later. They can smell, because it's independent as well, they can smell in 3D, so they can smell which side it's coming from. And if you've ever noticed that the dogs that are really, really good with scent work are the ones that have got the really floppy ears, that's because when they put their heads down, their ears flop, so when they breathe out on that side, the air actually creates a little eddy, which sucks up more molecules and sends them back in their noses. It's absolutely immense. I can keep talking about it for hours. It really does blow my mind. I know most of you probably not as into that part of it as me, but if you're not, I'm sorry, I'll just keep waffling. So the olfactory bulb is part of the limbic system. The limbic system is the part of the brain that deals with emotions, memories and behaviour. This is why it's so important for reactive dogs. That's why it helps them so much. Because it bypasses every other bit in the brain and goes straight to there. Positive associations with scent can send endorphins and serotonin. Have you ever been somewhere where you've smelt something and it's reminded you maybe of somebody in your past, and that's either made you happy or sad, or you've got a little bit, thanks Kate, I'm not getting too geeky then, and it's just reminded you. It's like Old Spice or Brute for me. It just reminds me of memories of my granddad, and it makes me emotional and happy. Look, I'm getting all welled up now. It's the same kind of thing for your dog. So while we're doing this, although they're not specifically remembering one person's scent, the whole scenario around that scent evokes the same kind of reaction and emotion. And don't underestimate how much your dog's scent. So if I get my trailing line out, before my dog's even seen it, I'm sure she can actually ID the smell of that trailing line, because she starts to go like a kangaroo. I mean, she's a Beasler, so she's quite a kangaroo anyway. But she knows that she's about to go trailing before she's actually seen or gone anywhere new or anything else that's set up. So I think there's quite a lot of scent memory with that as well. But this is what it's all about for the dogs that are reactive. We're trying to build those positive associations. It's all so, and in addition to that, because you're encouraging your dog to work out the front of you, you're promoting concentration for them and independence. A lot of sports, the dog will look to you for an instruction. They will wait until you say go this way, go that way. That doesn't build that independence, confidence on their own, because in mantrailing it's all up to the dog. You can read and assist, but the dog has to do the work, which is where it builds more confidence, because the dog does it, it finds the person at the end, it gets a massive reward, and everybody's happy, and the dog's like, oh, I like this. And the dogs really do change. You do see it. They concentrate so much. I wish I could share some videos, but I couldn't work out how to do it. But if anybody is interested, if you nip over to the Doghampton page, I'll happily post them on there if the owners are okay. I think most of the owners on here are the ones that I'd probably share, but it is great. We all know the importance of physical exercise for our dogs, and most of us do that every day without worrying, but we occasionally kind of miss the mental stimulation as well that the dogs need. You know, we hear that dogs need jobs, but what is that job for that dog? What does that dog like? Trisha's all right with me sharing, that's great. So, and it's a lack of this mental stimulation sometimes that can cause those destructive behaviours that people struggle with so much. So I've got a few clients who have got dogs with destructive behaviours when they're left. It's not anxiety or anything like that, it's just boredom mostly. And they say things like, but I take him out for an hour in the morning, and he has a dog walker in the middle of the day, and we take him out for an hour at night. But they miss the mental stimulation piece. So you can use some of the mantrailing bits that I'll go through in a minute, and you can practice at home, which will help tire your dog out and help give him a little bit of a mental stimulation as well. So one last bit of geeky science for those of you that are now switching off. Hopefully you're still there. Dogs actually also possess a second olfactory function in the vomeronasal or Jacobson organ. This is in the base of the nasal passage, and it's specially there just to process pheromones. So they're the chemicals that are released by animals. The dog interprets them and keeps them away from basic odours, so it's almost got a separate part just for analysing that. So if you've ever seen your dog sniff pee or somewhere where, oh thank you, where another dog's been, you'll see them sniff with their mouths open, and then they do that Hannibal Lecter chopping thing where they kind of chat their teeth together. That's when they're bringing all those pheromones over that Jacobson organ so that they can work out exactly what's going on there. It's absolutely amazing. So if you think of that, your dog is actually simultaneously running two separate olfactory programs in his nose and his brain, or her nose and brain, at one time. I mean, how immense is that? That's like computer stuff. Anyway, enough of the science. I hope you're still all awake and I haven't bored you to death with the science, and you can all still hear me. I hope. Has everyone just gone to sleep now because I got all geeky? No, somebody's awake. Woohoo, good. Right, so just a few things on what your dog is capable of smelling. I'm sure we've all seen loads of dogs like that, but so you've got scent tracking dogs, which the police force use tracking dogs, but they don't use scenting dogs or trailing dogs. Explosive drugs, criminals, lost peoples. Yep, Pam, totally agree. Awesome. There's quite a bit coming up now with dementia cases where dogs are being used to find those people as well, not just criminals, which is really interesting. It's great that they can help when the police probably can't put as much into finding those people, that dogs can be out there straight away. It's amazing. There's also searching for lost dogs and cats. That's becoming quite a thing now. There is a guy with a dog called Molly that's been doing it for years for cats. Amazing. But there's a few popping up that track and trail dogs as well. Scent detection with the Medi dogs. Yes, they do. Yeah, I was just about to say that. So cancer as well. So you've got medical detection dogs. Absolutely amazing what those guys do, and some of them are more accurate than the electronic systems that we use. The last time I spoke to the lady that runs that, can't speak anymore, they were actually sending over frozen socks so the dogs could be taught to detect malaria on them. It's absolutely amazing. And conservation, don't forget conservation dogs. So there's a lady I know that I'm hoping to do a bit of work with later on this year that does things with preserving cheetahs over in Africa. So they've trained the dog to actually find cheetah poo, scat, so that they can help, because there's quite a lot of poachers and stuff over there. So again, absolutely amazing. And more recently, COVID as well. Somebody was actually telling me the other day, they sent a study which I haven't been able to read through yet, but I certainly will over the weekend, about dogs and detecting COVID. Amazing. I need to teach my dogs really to find my phone or my keys, because that's the two things that I walk around the house going, where have I put them, all the time. But the list really is endless, and it's fantastic. If you do want a bit of a geeky book on how to kind of work out what's going on with your dog's nose, it's not too geeky to be honest, but it gives you a really good insight into it. It's inside of the dog, what dogs see, smell and know. It's Alexandra Horowitz, I think I've said that wrong, but it's a great book, and she is really, I love the way she writes it as well, but it just gives you an insight how they see the world through their nose. I think on YouTube as well there's a little video that shows the dog sniffing flowers, and it shows you how dogs actually process it and see it. Verity's put on there, I've seen recently hedgehog detection. Wow. It's, yeah, how? Absolutely amazing. Right, so As I've said before, I'm an instructor and assessor for Mantrailing UK. So Mantrailing UK is probably one of the biggest ones in England at the moment. The lady who started it and owns it is Lisa Gorenflo. She's American who spent quite a lot. Sorry, she's a German who spent quite a lot of time in America. She's been all over the world. She's been operational for over 15 years now, I think, and still is. She decided to set up Mantrailing UK in 2018. She'd seen the benefits of what Mantrailing could do with dogs that were operational, and just thought that if she could do that for average people and pet dogs, reactive dogs, it would be absolutely fantastic. But not only did she want to do that, she wanted to actually grow a team of professional instructors that weren't just trained and then sent out into the world, but ones that kind of supported each other and were like a big family, so we could all swap stories and make sure we're giving absolutely the best to all of our clients that are out there, which we do. We meet up all the time, clearly not actively at the moment, only on Facebook and lives, and we discuss things and how to get more. Suzanne, did you really want to be in on this video? I'm not sure whether that was an accidental push, but yeah, it really is a close-knit family of instructors. We support each other, and we're continually giving you guys the best that all of us can be together. Not only are they all over the UK, but it's actually going out towards Canada, I think, and it was supposed to be this year, but we're going to have a few instructors out in Canada. So amazing, absolutely amazing. What Katrina said there. Oh, see more. See that? My dog detects them without training. Must give off an odour. Yeah, hedgehogs. Yeah, most animals do, and most dogs will just track down animals naturally. As I've said, you've probably seen it on a walk. We had one dog that was with us and just caught the smell of a rabbit. Gone. It's instinctual, and it's what's kept them alive, isn't it? Being able to track animals. I have a question. Do you see an emotional response with the dogs? Let me get that more. I can't expand the question. There you go. Searching for people, and do you start on handler, familiar scent first? It depends on the dog. So what we do with all the dogs is we'll introduce them to the person that they're going to be finding first, just to make sure they're happy. If we've got a dog that's not too keen on men, then we'll make sure we use a woman, or vice versa. If we've got a dog that's really, really bad, then we'll ask that person to bring a family friend or a member of their family with them. And we've only had it once, but we have had one dog where we've had to flip it. So a family member actually trailed the dog, and the owner of the dog was the one to hide. We only had to do it a couple of times before the dog went, oh, actually this game's quite fun, and carried on. So emotional response, yeah, most of the dogs, because the first time the dog does it, the handlers are normally like, oh my god, I can't believe he's done that. And of course that pheromone, your smell changes because you're happy, so your dog picks up on that as well. So yeah, the emotional response is there. It takes longer with some dogs, like anything does really. Some of us learn really quickly, some of us don't learn as quickly, but they all get there, and it's tiny steps. So hopefully that answered that. So once you've done the introduction as well, unlike a lot of places, you can swap between any instructor. So they're not necessarily courses. We all kind of post single events. And once you've done the introduction with any of the UK instructors, you can swap. So you could, if you were on holiday, you could go and do it with somebody wherever you're on holiday in the UK, or Canada if you get out there with your dog. But you can swap between them, which I think is really, really good. My dog really smiles when he does scent work. Yeah, scent work's the same. It's the same process. It's just with scent work, you're asking the dog to maintain long-term memory of scent, so that when that smell of birch, clove, gun oil, whatever it is, your dog will just go and find it. Whereas with Mantrailing, it's kind of short-term memory, so we'll give the dog something and go smell that scent on there and then go and find the heaviest source. But primarily it's almost the same. So, any dog trainers on there as well, you can actually host an instructor. So if you've got a whole team of people that you think might be interested, if you call one of your local instructors and get them to come to you, we can host. We're doing one soon for a lady down in Brackley, and we'll do the introduction. Some of the introductions are online now because we can't go inside, so we're doing some of that on Zoom, and then we'll come down and do the practical a couple of days later. So you can host that. One of us will come in. If I'm not anywhere near you, then have a look at the Mantrailing UK site, and you'll see somebody that is. And some of these guys will then ask us just to drop down once a month so the guys can train, which is great fun. So games you can play at home. So how would you do it at home? Target touching is a massive one because the dogs sometimes struggle to pick up the scent. So if you imagine this is a scent, you can do it with a post-it note, actually, is the way I prefer to put it, probably a bigger one than that. But if you put a post-it note somewhere and you just get your dog to touch with its nose, you just need it to hold a nose. So any of them that have done, like, if you've done a touch exercise with your dog, the dogs are going to get that really easily. What I will say is go through, if you're thinking about doing it, then think about 2 words you can use as a cue. So you need a cue that means to take on the scent and a cue that means to go and trail. Make sure they're not anything like words that you already use, or if you do scent detection, don't use words that are the same because your dog will start searching walls instead of looking for the person. So it can be anything. Sniff and go. We've got Google and Jeeves, Scooby and Doo. It can be anything, but get it in your head. And then if you're doing touch exercises around the house, you can then use that cue, because all you want your dog to do is just hover above it, because your dog will naturally sniff while it's got its nose there. If your dog's not interested, haven't got one, but you can get a little bag and present the bag to the dog with the same cue and get your dog to stick its nose in the bag. Obviously be careful what bag, we don't want to suffocate any dogs. So that's one of the games you can play at home. The other ones are to encourage the nose. So you could actually do it with food to start off with to get the idea. So I do something called drag the sausage. So we'll get a little bit of sausage, break a bit off in the living room, and I'll drag the sausage all across the floor and go out through the dining room, out into the conservatory, and then hide it there. If you've got a multi-dog household like me, you will need to keep your dogs out of the way, otherwise it's just a chaotic free-for-all. But then bring your dog in and start it off, no cues or anything, just let them use their nose. Start them off where the little bit you've broken off is, and you'll see them follow the scent all the way. You might need to start with a smaller distance to start off with and then send them further on. But it's a great game, it just engages with that. And you can also do it with toys as well. If your dog's got a favourite toy they like one of those lure things or a ball, you can do that. So roll the ball on the floor and hide it somewhere and then send your dog into it. They might start air scenting a little bit instead of using the floor, but anything that engages with that nose is a positive. It's starting that working as a muscle. Debbie has somebody near her that does Mantrailing. Brilliant. Come and sign up. The other thing you can do is hide and seek in the house. Literally just go and hide. That's great for improving your recall as well if you're going to call your dog. But that's one I like. We do it out on a walk as well. So I'll just walk off and hide, and the dogs come back and have to find me. But hide and seek's a great one. So, okay, I think that brings me pretty much to the end of the Mantrailing chat. You guys got any questions? Verity, that's wicked. I'm going to try that with a sausage soon. Oh, so do I. It's Suzanne. Haha, I just meant while I'm on holiday. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, there are quite a few of the instructors all over the place. Got a message, just let me get rid of that. Yeah, I think there's I don't know off the top of my head how many instructors there are, but there are quite a few up and down the UK. I think Sussex area is quite short at the moment. Oh, Jodie's enjoyed it, that's good. So we've got extra 10 minutes left if anyone wants to ask any questions. So if not, I will just do a quick one on scent work. I meant if you come on holiday to me. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, see, we're all swapping around and going on holiday. Hopefully, it might not be this year, but next year, we will be having a Mantrailing summer camp, which will be down in Norfolk doing a few level ones and stuff like that, and just having a nice weekend of a bit of a barbecue and all chat together of that kind of thing. We might be holding a summer fete as well if we're ever allowed out. Whereabouts in Cornwall? Andy's down in Cornwall. He's an absolutely awesome trainer for Mantrailing UK and a great guy. If you're anywhere near him in Cornwall, Cornwall's a big place, but he's good. So just a quick one on scent work. So scent work process, like I've just said, it's all the same geeky piece as Mantrailing, only you kind of pair the scent that you want your dog to go with. So for Mantrailing, for Scent Work UK, you use clove, gun oil and truffle. I'm a trainer, trials manager and judge for Scent Work UK online and normal. I'm also a qualified trainer with the UK College of Scent Dogs and the World Scent Dog Association. So I've kind of mixed up and gone all over the place. But yeah, it's good. I started many years ago with my German Shepherd who went through quite a destructive period, and it really changed him. I've got a couple of questions. Let me just answer them. My pup gets a lot out of sniffing activities. We do them already. Definitely going to try. Yeah, sniffing. Don't underestimate it. Even if you just use it for games. So getting a towel, putting treats in the towel and rolling the towel up, or hiding them around. Even if it's just with food. I mean, this has nothing to do with Mantrailing, but it will help your dog. Split your dog's food up into little pots and put them all around, and let your dog go and spend a little bit longer eating and finding it. So would love to, if you come over, basic scent work steps for beginners. So scent work or Mantrailing, Katerina? So basic steps at home would be the hide and seek, like I've been talking about a minute ago. Scent work, basic scent work at home would be to pair a scent. So if you've got one of those containers that you get from the Chinese, two of them together, put holes in the top one, put whatever you want the dog to smell. So if we're using clove, we'll put some clove in a little glass jar with some bits of cotton, put that piece of cotton in between those two, and then feed your dog off the top. If you do that for 3 or 4 days, the dog will have got the food out of there while smelling that smell. You can of course just open this up and feed your dog at the same time next to it. That scent will just get paired with yummy food, and then you can start training, as in just holding that, and when your dog's nose goes to it, you mark with a yes and rewards, or you can then put it on the floor. We do an online scent work course at the moment, if any of you guys want to do that and you're not close. But have a look on the Scent Work UK website as well, because there's quite a few of us all round. But it is really great fun. The science, like I said, is all about all of what it is for Mantrailing, but it's just you're expecting the dog to store those scent memories in their long-term memory. So at any point, if they smell clove, they will go and find it, or truffle oil, gun oil, whichever one you're using. We actually use all of those plus Kong, so dogs will search for Kong, and we do an active retrieve on catnip. So if you've got a dog that's a bit more boisterous but is good off lead, you can actually make up like a little, they're called squirrels, so you plait cloth together, soak it in catnip, and then you can hide that in a big field and send your dog off. So your dog will almost beat for it until they find it, but that's good for the dogs that are a bit more over the top with it. Right, so again, with the Scent Work UK, there's lots of competitions with that. I'm sure you guys have seen, but there's like levels 1 and upwards. There's competitions online, and there's competitions that will hopefully start back up in May. Dog of the Year, Crufts, the search areas. We have an interior search. There'll be 2 interior searches. One will be bags and boxes. One will be boxes and luggage. one will be chairs and table, 2 exterior searches. So there'll be a vehicle that your dog will have to search around, and then there'll be specific items that are in a 3x3 search area. So if you want to practice yourself, if you do it with a little pot, like I said, if you message the Doghampton page or look over there, I think there are a few steps on there as well. You can start working way up to that, but do it tiny steps. So if I was putting that down after I'd paired it for a couple of days, I'd probably put it in a mug, and I'd just put 2 mugs down, one with the scent in, one with the other. And then you teach the indication as well, but the indication is taught separate to the actual search as well. And we teach a freeze. So if you've got a dog that does a nose touch, a sustained nose touch or a sustained chin touch, they're going to catch on to that static freeze a lot quicker than other dogs that haven't. So teach something static. I'm just going to go down and would love to come over. Where are you, Katerina? We're in Northamptonshire. If you're not too far away, let us know. Or if you've got a local trainer close to you, then see if they want to host us and we'll come over. If you're not too far. Obviously, I don't know where you are. You might be in America. Right, any more questions before I go? Because I don't want to overlap into anybody else's slot, because Ruby's done a fantastic job of filling these up. I can't believe how many speakers there are on here. It's amazing. Any more questions? Is that it? Hope you've all enjoyed it and I haven't bored you with the sciencey bit too much. Give me a thumbs up. Haha. Tiley Island's in Greece. Yeah, I could come out there for a few months. That's where my last dog is from. Goose. He's come all over from Cyprus, so that's near Greece, isn't it? Not very good with geography. I've been crap with geography all this week. I bet there's a few people that are actually laughing at me now, but never mind. Right, guys, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you so much. It was really informative. Good, I'm glad you liked it. I wasn't sure if I'd go a bit geeky, because I very often do. Norfolk, Debbie, great. That's where we go on holiday, and that's where we're hoping to do a bit of a summer camp. So it'd be great. Science was great, loved it. Thanks, Janice. You're welcome to come on holiday. Oh, I'd love to. Great, thank you. Thanks, Pam. Right, guys, so that's it from me. Hope you've enjoyed it, and like I say, if you want to have a look at the Doghampton page, drop over and ask a few questions on there if you didn't get them in on the time, and we'll talk to you on there. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Bye.